late 1970s when everybody was scared to come into this park. Not only is this called the Monumental Women, this is a monumental project. 843 acres in this park. The real estate is the most valuable real estate in New York. And some fierce women started 7 years ago to get this plot of land. There hasn't been any new statue in Central Park for years. You may know there are more statues of dogs than there are of women. Anybody know this? There are 5 statues of women in New York City, and I can remember 3 right at the moment. Anybody remember who they are? Joan of Arc doesn't count in the park. Alice in Wonderland does not count in the park. Eleanor Roosevelt, Gertrude Stein, Bella Abzug, and there are 2 others, and I'm having...
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, Harriet, which I was involved in commissioning. How could I forget that? Anyway, that's on 122nd and Malcolm X Boulevard. It takes up the whole block. It's a wonderful sculpture. So, so you want to know why was last week the dedication? It was 100 years since the suffragette the right to vote for women was actually passed or went into a piece of legislature, which is pretty monumental. We were not the first country to give women the right to vote. Other countries did it before us. So last week was a dedication. Hillary Clinton was here. All the living relatives of these 3 people were there and live. And I kind of crashed it because I know the artist, because I wasn't supposed to be there because of COVID and everything. It's completely telecast on all the major networks. And if you go to monumentalwomen.org, you will find the entire hour and 10-minute. It's very inspiring, very inspiring. One of the things that I was particularly interested in was the process. They had to get permission from the Central Park Conservancy, from the Department of Parks, from the Parks Department, the Police Department, all 8 community boards around Central Park. So nothing's easy in New York City, but it's a wonderful, wonderful outcome. Meredith Bergman was chosen about, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. When you're involved as an artist in public art, you have to be very, very patient. So she's been working on creating this bronze sculpture for about 3 years upstate, and it was moved here about 2 weeks ago and slowly but surely installed. Meredith has done work at the Boston Women's Monument, and she is working on the monument to disabled people for Roosevelt Island. You know, it's this celebratory area on Roosevelt Island called 4 Freedoms. Anybody been there to FDR? And there's nothing about him being disabled. So Meredith, it was supposed to be dedicated now. I think it's been put off for a while. And it acknowledges that Roosevelt was obviously disabled. So Meredith's a wonderful person. I'm hoping to have her do a tour under Ventures and Vision, which I'm involved with, once COVID is over. There's a lot of history behind this, and if any of you want to know the history and the controversy, there always with public art there's controversy, but it turns out to be a beautiful, beautiful trio of women, and as you said, they didn't. One of them was way before the other ones, yeah, and but they're in the original description of this sculpture. There was an entire script that was flowing out of the sculpture of all the women that were involved in this project. And I learned about Ida Wells. Maybe if you know about women's rights, you've heard of her. But there are many, many, many people that were involved in this, but these 3 get a lot of wonderful attention. So that's it.
Thank you.
So, the next sculpture that's going to be done in Central Park is to Seneca Village.
Yes.
Seneca Village was
Yes.
an African
All
American
right.
community that was in Central Park, and it was disturbed and probably erased completely when Central Park, which is a man-made park, was built 100 some years ago. So that will be the next sculpture. There's also going to be a sculpture to Shirley Chisholm. Those
Yes.
of you who are Brooklyn people know she was the first black congresswoman from Brooklyn.
Yes.
And it will be in, I believe it's going to be in Prospect Park.
Excellent.
But be patient, it takes a few years to get these sculptures.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you.